Ever feel like you're stuck in a rut when it comes to confidence? Like everyone else seems to have it figured out, but you?
Yeah.
Today we're doing a deep dive into a YouTube video called "This Video Will Make You Confident."
Oh, okay.
To unpack this, this feeling a lot of us have,
Sure.
and our source, the straight-talking, no-nonsense wisdom of a creator named Thewizardliz.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready for some straight talk, because Liz does not hold back.
She really doesn't. Right away, she kind of challenges this whole idea that confidence is something you're just born with.
Yeah.
She's like, it's earned, through action, through pushing past those comfort zones, the ones most people avoid.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What does she mean by this earned confidence? Does she give us any, specific examples?
Oh, yeah, she does. She uses this analogy of athletes,
Okay.
professionals, people at the top of their game. She says, look, they didn't just wake up one day magically skilled and confident.
Right.
They show up and put in the work consistently, even when they don't feel like it.
So it's like building that confidence muscle through consistent effort.
Yeah.
Kind of like an athlete trains their body.
Exactly. And each small win, right?
Yeah.
Each time you push yourself a little further, that reinforces that belief in your own ability.
Yeah.
Psychologists even have a word for it. It's called self-efficacy. That inner knowing that you can accomplish what you set your mind to.
So it's not like some overnight transformation.
No.
It's more about these small, consistent actions. Those add up over time.
Precisely. And that actually leads into her big emphasis on small steps.
Okay.
She really calls out that mistake, that people make, trying to overhaul everything at once.
Oh, yeah.
Which honestly usually just leads to overwhelm and then ultimately giving up.
Yeah, sure.
She's a big proponent of something called progressive overload. Have you heard of this?
Progressive overload. Okay, break that down for me. That sounds kind of intimidating, actually.
Well, think of it kind of like leveling up in a video game. Like you wouldn't start as a level 1 character and then immediately try to take on the final boss, would you?
No.
You build your skills and your confidence gradually through smaller challenges first.
Ah, okay, that makes a lot more sense. So instead of trying to conquer the whole world all at once, you're gradually expanding your comfort zone, one small step at a time.
You got it. And as you have those small wins, it builds momentum, builds confidence, and then you can tackle bigger challenges. Liz actually has a great phrase for this.
Oh, what is it?
She calls it getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so simple but so powerful too, right? Because, let's face it, growth rarely happens in our comfort zones, does it?
Exactly. It's in those moments of discomfort, of facing our fears, that we often discover those hidden strengths and build resilience. Liz actually shares this great anecdote about this.
Oh, here's where it gets interesting. Tell me more.
Okay, so Liz reveals that, get this, she used to be terrified of heights. But then last year, she decided to face that fear head on by jumping out of a plane.
Wow.
She even mentioned struggling with social anxiety, like getting flustered, red in the face, when people would try to talk to her.
Wow, that's quite a transformation. So how'd she go from being terrified of social interaction to, confidently putting herself out there on YouTube?
By consistently pushing past that comfort zone, one interaction at a time.
Oh, wow.
She didn't let those initial feelings of discomfort hold her back.
Right.
Instead, she embraced them as opportunities for growth.
I see.
Which, by the way, is a key element of what psychologists call a growth mindset.
So it's about reframing those uncomfortable feelings, not as something to avoid, but as stepping stones to greater confidence.
Yes.
I'm curious, what other, nuggets of wisdom does Liz offer up in this video?
Okay, so she introduces this really interesting concept. She calls it the okay and mentality. It's about accepting setbacks and imperfections as part of the journey, not letting them derail you,
This okay and thing, this sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a bit more? Because I think our listeners would really benefit from, understanding this concept.
Absolutely. So imagine you try something new.
Okay.
And it doesn't quite go as planned.
Happens all the time.
Right. So instead of falling into that trap of self-criticism, see, I knew I couldn't do it.
Right.
The okay and mentality encourages this different approach.
So instead of letting that setback completely derail you, it's about acknowledging it without letting it define the entire experience.
Exactly. You acknowledge the setback. Okay, that happened. And this is the important part. You then shift your focus to what you can learn from it and how you can move forward.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, what can you say okay and to in your own life right now?
What a powerful way to reframe those inevitable bumps in the road, It's about embracing imperfection and understanding that those setbacks, they're not failures, they're feedback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it takes the pressure off needing to be perfect
Right.
and allows you to just focus on progress. It's like you can't edit a blank page, right? Sometimes you just got to start, even if it's messy.
Precisely. And, Liz actually, she highlights how this fear of imperfection really shows up in our relationship with social media.
Oh, yeah.
We're bombarded with all these seemingly perfect lives, and it really messes with your perception of reality.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
How many times have you scrolled through social media and thought, wow, everyone else has their life so together?
Right.
But Liz doesn't just point out the problem. She offers solutions, too.
She does. She's a big advocate for what she calls a digital detox. She actually limits her own social media use, avoids reading comments, and she's very intentional about the accounts that she follows.
So it's about creating those healthy boundaries with social media,
Yeah.
Choosing to consume content that, uplifts and inspires you rather than stuff that fuels self-doubt.
Exactly. And speaking of things that uplift and inspire, Liz actually talks about the importance of routines.
Like having a morning routine, a nighttime routine, those really help her.
I've heard a lot about the power of routines. What, specific benefits does Liz associate with them?
Well, she finds that, sticking to her routines just helps her feel more grounded, more organized, more in control.
Right.
Especially amidst the chaos of, everyday life. It's like setting yourself up for success from the moment she wakes up.
It's like creating a sense of structure, predictability in a world that often feels anything but, right?
Right. And she also emphasizes the importance of your circle.
Okay.
Surrounding yourself with positive influences, people who support your growth, inspire you to be your best self.
Now, this is where I think it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Liz doesn't shy away from the tough stuff. She talks about how sometimes, letting go of relationships, even close ones, can actually be necessary for personal growth.
Yeah, she even shares her own experience with this, going through a period where her family didn't really understand or support her YouTube aspiration.
And it was during that time, when she was going against the grain, that she really found her voice.
Yeah.
And her confidence just soared. It's almost like that resistance fueled her fire,
Sometimes, the people closest to us, they might not understand our dreams, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's about trusting your intuition and pursuing what feels right for you, even if it means, forging your own path.
So it's about having the courage to pursue your own definition of success, even if it doesn't necessarily align with what other people expect of you. Now, something that really struck me throughout this whole video was how Liz talks about failure. She doesn't shy away from it at all.
She really doesn't. She embraces it. She actually sees failure not as a full stop, but as a comma, a necessary pause on the road to success.
It's about reframing those setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth.
Yeah.
Which actually ties back to her whole okay and mentality.
Totally.
Instead of letting that failure derail you, you acknowledge it. Okay, that happened. And then shift your focus to what you can learn from the experience.
Exactly. It's about cultivating resilience.
Yeah.
That ability to just bounce back from adversities stronger and wiser. And Liz is such a great example of this.
Right.
She talks about how she used to be totally paralyzed by the fear of failure, but now she just sees it as an essential part of the growth process.
It's like she's saying, look, you're going to mess up. You're going to fall flat on your face.
Oh, yeah.
But it's how you get back up that matters.
Absolutely. It's about having the courage to try, even if you might fail, because the only way to truly fail is to let fear hold you back from even trying in the first place.
That's so true. It's interesting, though, because while she encourages embracing those messy, imperfect parts of ourselves, she also talks about the importance of not caring what other people think. So how do these two ideas coexist?
It's about finding that balance
between
being true to yourself.
Right.
And not letting the opinions of others dictate your worth, your choices. You can embrace your quirks and imperfections while also recognizing that not everyone will understand or appreciate them. And that's okay.
So it's like she's saying, be open to learning from others, but don't let their opinions define you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that everyone is on their own unique journey.
Yeah.
With their own unique perspectives and experiences.
Yeah.
And while those perspectives can be valuable, they shouldn't have the power to derail your own path.
It's a tough balance to strike, though, isn't it? Because we're social creatures, connection matters.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's a worthwhile pursuit because when you can find that sweet spot between connection and self-reliance, it unlocks this whole new level of confidence.
Yeah.
It's about trusting your inner compass while still being open to the wisdom of others.
And that actually brings us to another key takeaway from Liz's video. This idea of celebrating our imperfections.
Yes.
Embracing our quirks.
She emphasizes how social media often makes us forget, like, how wonderfully weird and diverse people are in real life.
Right.
You know, she's all about celebrating those differences, those quirks that make each of us unique.
It's about recognizing that perfection is illusion, and it's often those imperfections that make us interesting, relatable.
Liz admits that she used to, like, overanalyze her interactions with people, trying to appear perfect, likable.
Oh, wow.
She even mentioned, like, interrupting people to offer reassurance or agree with them, even when she wasn't truly listening.
Oh, no.
But now she's learned to just embrace those moments of awkwardness, imperfection.
It sounds like she's encouraging us to just show up authentically, quirks and all.
Exactly. Because when we can be comfortable in our own skin, flaws and all, it gives other people permission to do the same.
Yeah.
And that creates this really powerful sense of connection.
It's refreshing to see someone just kind of own those perfectly imperfect parts of themselves.
It really is. And it makes her message that much more relatable.
Speaking of relatable, she doesn't just talk about accepting our flaws. She goes deeper. Like, she talks about the importance of actually liking ourselves.
Yeah.
Of practicing self-love.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
She encourages viewers to literally look in the mirror and, like, compliment themselves.
Wow.
Telling themselves they're proud of their accomplishments.
It's so true.
She even addresses those people who, might find that a little, like, cringy.
Right.
She's like, if you can't even speak kindly to yourself, like, how can you expect to receive love and acceptance from other people?
It's a powerful reminder that self-love isn't selfish.
Yeah.
It's essential.
And it's not just about, feeling it good, right? It's
Yeah.
about showing up with confidence in those moments that really matter.
Totally.
Liz talks about this in the context of, like, job interviews
Right.
or presentations.
Yeah.
She reminds viewers, like, hey, you were invited to that interview for a reason. You have valuable skills, insights to offer. It's about shifting from a place of self-doubt to a place of self-assurance.
Totally.
She even applies this to dating.
Real.
He's like, instead of going on a date worried about whether the other person likes you, focus on whether or not you like them.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
It's about recognizing that your worth isn't contingent on someone else's approval.
Right.
You are enough, just as you are.
Love that.
I love how Liz takes these, like, big, sometimes intimidating concepts,
Right.
and breaks them down into very practical advice.
Absolutely. Like, what's an example?
Like that idea of walking into every room like you own it.
Okay.
It sounds so simple, but it can be incredibly empowering.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about kind of projecting that confidence, even if you don't totally feel it yet. And then sometimes that outward display can actually help you to internalize it.
That's so interesting how our minds are so powerful.
Yeah.
We can use those thoughts and behaviors to shape our reality.
Exactly. And Liz actually shares a personal story about this.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. For the longest time, she felt so held back by this, like, need for external validation.
Oh, I see.
Like waiting for someone else to kind of give her permission to pursue her dreams.
Wow.
But then she had this breakthrough moment where she realized the only validation that truly matters is her own.
Wow.
And that's when things really started happening for her.
That's amazing.
She says, the point where I became really successful was when my back was against the wall.
Wow.
It's like that resistance, it fueled her fire.
It's true.
Such a powerful reminder that sometimes those greatest obstacles,
Yeah.
they can become our greatest catalysts for growth.
They can.
Wow. We really went deep on this one.
We did.
From self-care to, like, mindset shifts
Yeah.
to the power of self-belief, Liz covers it all.
She does.
What stands out to you as, like, the most impactful takeaway from her message?
I think for me, it's this idea of finding comfort in discomfort.
Yeah.
Like recognizing that growth and confidence, they often come from those moments when we're pushing past our limits,
Right.
facing our fears,
Totally.
embracing the unknown.
It's so easy to get stuck in those comfort zones.
It is.
But real transformation happens when we step outside of that space.
Exactly. It's about embracing the messiness of it all.
Right.
The imperfections, the uncertainty.
Totally.
And trusting that on the other side of all that discomfort, there's this more confident, more authentic version of ourselves just waiting to emerge.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this.
Yeah.
What small step can you take today to kind of push your own comfort zone. It doesn't have to be anything drastic.
Right.
Just a tiny step towards becoming that most confident version of yourself.